Hey heathens, we're here to learn about Lammas or Lughnasadh. Okay, so Lughnasadh is a pagan holiday. It's also one of the 8 Wiccan Sabbaths during the year. Each Sabbath marks a seasonal turning point. This one, Lammas, is usually held on August 1st or 2nd. It's about halfway between summer solstice and fall equinox. This holiday is to celebrate the grain harvest. Grain is a very important crop to most civilizations and to communities. If the grain was left in the fields for too long, or if bread made from grain was not baked in time, families might starve. A lot of pressure on the farmers. In early Ireland, it was not good to harvest grain before Lammas. If you did harvest before then, that means that the harvest from the previous year ran out before it was time for the next harvest, which meant that the farmers would have failed in providing for their communities, which really sucks. Lammas comes from an Old English phrase that translates to loaf mass. In some traditions, this day honors the Celtic god Lugh. This celebration of the god Lugh is referred to as Lughnasadh. Lugh is the god of craftsmanship. He is skilled in many ways, and things like blacksmithing, wheel making, and fighting. Modern day pagans bake bread and cakes to celebrate the historical grain harvest. Some observers celebrate with a harvest ritual. Dun, dun, dun. This ritual typically involves decorating an altar with symbols for the seasons. Some use. Let's look at some correspondence. So you want your altar to be facing west. Time of day is usually sunset. Colors are yellow, gold, orange, brown, green. Symbols are corn, wheat, bread, Lugh's spear, solar symbols, corn dollies, sacrificial god symbols. Altar tools are boline or scythe, cup or chalice. And you don't actually have to just celebrate Lugh on this day. You can celebrate any god or goddess of the sun, sacrifice, skills, or harvest. So just to name a few, you can invoke Hermes, Greek god of skill, Demeter, Greek goddess of agriculture, Terra Mater, Rome, earth goddess, Balder, Norse god of light. Anukit, Egyptian goddess of Nile and fertility. I'm totally butchering that. I am so sorry. Antum, Egyptian god of the setting sun. I butchered that one too, and I'm so sorry. Don't hate me. Traditionally, Lughnasadh altar is celebrated on a hill or a mountaintop. If you plan to celebrate outdoors, you might consider setting up on the highest ground you can find. Turn your altar to face the west, like I had said previously, the direction associated with the season of autumn. Indoor or outdoors, it's time to give your altar a touch of autumn spice. So throw on an altar cloth over it in the color or print that screams, "Fall is coming!" Place statues of your deities or your gods or goddesses. And if you don't have those, you can use candles that represent them, solar colored candles for the sun gods and green or brown candles for earth goddesses. Decorate the altar in fruits, herbs, vegetables, and bowls or baskets to represent the harvest. Sunflowers are a great reminder of the season, so I like to add them to a vase on the altar and perhaps a bowl of sunflower seeds. Since this Sabbath is associated with skills, we like to put symbols of our skills upon the altar. A writer might put a pad and pencil, a cook might put a whisk, an artist might put a lump of clay, a student might put a textbook, a computer programmer might put a computer part. You get the drift, etc., etc., etc. So food and drinks. It is said that our pagan ancestors would sacrifice a bull at this time. The Celts rarely butchered cattle. They were dependent upon dairy. Wealth and financial security was measured in cattle. Cattle were worth more alive than dead in most cases, and a small percentage were slaughtered for meat. To sacrifice an entire bull was truly a sacrifice for them. They would then hold a feast and share the bull. So if you want to be as traditional as possible, splurge on some steaks or some roast beef. Of course, no one will be disappointed if you decide to make a roast chicken or lamb chops. But since it's a harvest festival, indulge and make a true feast. Vegetarians may prefer dipping into whatever produce is particularly ripe in the season. Perhaps a lovely mushroom or barley stew. Lentil stuffed grape leaves, or some traditional Irish potato and cabbage dishes. And of course, bread. I hope you enjoyed learning about Lammas or Lughnasadh with me, and I hope to see you soon. Blessed be, loves.